I am here with Jason Boyce. This is Chris McCabe of eCommerce Chris and Jason of Avenue 7 Media. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
Good, good. We're both participating in Prosper this year, so I thought we'd talk about that first. It's almost February now, so
Amazing.
yeah, and March is right around the corner, right?
Yep.
So we'll soon be in Vegas, and you've got a panel, I've got a panel. Maybe we can talk about your panel first, just to highlight for people what you're going to be talking about.
Sure. There's three really experienced sellers, and the topic will be B2B on Amazon, which happens to be quietly one of the fastest growing segments of the marketplace.
Right.
A lot of folks are part of B2B and they don't even know it. And so it'll be interesting to talk to these guys who've been doing it and doing it well for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. And now the people who are going to be speaking, are they sellers? Are they consultants? Are they former Amazon people? Give us kind of a quick rundown. Yeah.
All experienced Amazon sellers, some of them longer than others, but very, very well versed in selling on Amazon, and they know this space really well. And
Right.
it's one of those things that's been around for a long time, and people don't really know that it's there, what the benefit is there. And I've already spoken to the panelists briefly, and they like it. They like the B2B. Right. So we're going to dive in.
Nice. And then of course I'm doing the seller performance panel. I'm not moderating my panel. I'm commenting the way I usually do. You said you've been talking to a lot of experienced long-term sellers. What do they think in terms of what we're likely to talk about, the evolution of seller performance? Have they seen it get worse, better? They think it's the same? They don't expect it to change? Do you ever talk to them about those types of issues?
Anytime I talk to sellers about those kinds of issues, it's usually followed by a long exhale.
Sighing. Yeah.
A long, painful sigh. So, there's been some modest improvements. I think the biggest improvement has been that, the leadership at Amazon seems to be talking about how much better they're making it for everybody more, but
right.
The sellers still have a little bit of a different viewpoint, at least in my experience. I don't know if you've seen the same thing.
So no perceptible improvements for their accounts because they happen to be around longer, they happen to be larger, more established in their categories. Nothing, they haven't seen the improvements, but they've heard people talking about the improvements.
They've heard Amazon talking about how much money they've spent on improving the seller experience, etc. And they're all looking around going, and where is that?
Okay. So they have,
Yeah, I mean, this is better than anyone.
I do.
A brand new seller that comes on has a whole host of new problems that the experienced sellers don't have, but the long-term experienced sellers with history, they're still seeing their listings being taken down accidentally, and there's the standard stuff like that.
And it takes forever to get it back up on their own, or they have to spend time with somebody like me to get it fixed and that sort of thing.
That's right. Thank goodness you're there, Chris.
Well, do they have account managers? Do they have people inside the company who they can reach out to who at least make an attempt to reach out to seller performance? Or do they have relationships with category managers, things like that?
It's sort of a mixed bag. Some of them don't. Some of them rely on us. And, when I run into roadblocks, you're my first call. So.
Yeah. So, and again, we're talking about the Prosper Show, your panel. Prosper Show goes from the 23rd to the 25th of March. What's the date and time of your panel? Remind me again.
Great question. I don't have the answer. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't have that one. All right. That's fine.
I would go to the Prosper Show.
Back.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I should have warned you I was going to ask you that.
I just booked my hotel yesterday, so hopefully I'm there long enough to be there. So I'm just sort of snapping in. But as always, I'm really excited about the Prosper Show. You and I have got a lot of friends that we've developed over the years at that show, and it's always a pleasure to be there.
I mean, it's the highest level Amazon seller conference that exists.
Absolutely.
And that's globally, not just in the United States, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm planning on going every year. I've got I've got the seller performance panel that I'm, again, not moderating, but I'm the only former seller performance person who's going to be on that panel.
I never miss that panel, Chris. I never miss it. It's always it's always informative.
It's a popular one, but I'm also doing a workshop the day before on how to protect yourself against black hat tactics. And that's a huge topic. It's going to take us at least 2-3 hours to say everything we want to say and answer everyone's questions. But that was my next question for you. Have you had any clients who they couldn't figure out what happened to their listings? They wondered if it was an attack from a competitor. product reviews that didn't really read right, sounded like they might be from a competitor? Have you had a lot of that? And if
All of
so,
the
how did you handle it?
all of the
Yeah.
above, and then of course the new one,
Mhm.
we launched a relatively new seller client recently, and they got like 3 1-star ratings. You know, the
Okay.
rating, and we didn't have any information. We had no way
Hmm.
of reaching out to the customer to see if we could make it better.
Right.
There was just nothing, and of course that listing is sort of suffering as a
Right.
result.
Right. And that's
So
right out of the gate. You just launched them. They're new.
right out of the gate,
Oh.
they're new. They're 60 days old, and
Oh boy. So
yeah.
that's discouraging. So do you tell people when you're onboarding them? I mean, I'm sure you do on some level, but without trying to scare people, hey, there could be some crazy stuff that happens. You're going to have to troubleshoot that early on, as opposed to selling for a bit, launching products, getting to a cruising altitude, and then having to worry about, surfacing on some competitor's radar screen. It might happen earlier than later. Do you have that chat with them?
You know, Chris, I try to do as much expectation management as possible before
Mhm.
they sign the dotted line with our firm, uh, o- only because everyone has their own set of expectations when they come in. I try to just level the playing field and say, there's a reason why folks like me and you, Chris, exist. It's
Mhm.
because
Right.
selling on Amazon is unique. It's unlike any other marketplace. It's like unlike any other sales channel that you've ever experienced,
Hmm.
and it comes with a lot of headaches. I typically say to them, you know, I've been selling on Amazon since 2003. You know, before I exited my business, I've made
Right.
every mistake possible and learned from it, and you will benefit from that. Just bear with me.
Okay.
And then, you know, it doesn't matter really with the client how much you tell them that. The first time they get a listing taken down for no apparent reason, or no reason that they can't figure out, it's always
Right.
devastating. And they're always like, can't we speak to somebody over there? You know, it's the same, you know
Right.
that, right? Don't they understand that this isn't right? And
Right.
so I always hate to put myself in a position where I'm defending Amazon, but it happens where,
Well, you have to
hey,
explain what. Yeah.
yeah, you're not alone. This is the
Mm-hmm.
system. This is the way it works.
Yeah.
And we are going to do A, B, and C. If that doesn't work, we're going to call Chris,
Right.
basically.
Talking him off the ledge.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, calling me if you don't troubleshoot it yourself. Sometimes you're going to solve it. Sometimes you're not.
Oftentimes we
Um,
can, but other
yeah.
times not so much.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's this. Finally, we can talk about this payments issue that you and I have been talking
Oh,
about for weeks. And I showed you this message that one client of ours got. Actually, a member of our membership. We did a performance assessment, and we've decided to reschedule your disbursements. Those
no.
first 2 lines of that email that you saw. And thankfully, since I showed it to you, I haven't seen that a lot, but we've been talking about unscheduled changes to disbursements for over a month. So do you have any updates on your side in terms of people who didn't get their disbursement on time? And just so everyone knows, to clarify, we're talking about active sellers. We're not talking about anyone who's suspended. We're not talking about anyone with a ASIN suspension even, just
Yeah.
getting a message that they're not going to get their money as expected on time. So what has
Well,
happened there?
it's interesting. The older clients that have an account 3 years or older, I don't see any unavailable balance on these folks. So it
Okay.
seems like it seems like, at least in the small subset of clients that I'm working with,
Mm-hmm.
the older the seller account, the less likely you are to have that unavailable balance.
Right.
Everyone that we launched last year, which was, you know, a couple of dozen folks, all of them are being tagged with this unavailable balance.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I tell you what, it's really messed up,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, small businesses, especially startup small businesses, live and die by their cash flow.
Yeah.
And for Amazon to withhold their cash for, you know, I've seen any number of reasons saying, oh,
Right.
we've been doing this for 5 years. Well, no, Amazon, you haven't been doing it for 5 years. They'll say,
Yeah.
you know, we're holding back money in case there's an A to Z claim or a performance problem, or the item doesn't arrive, delivery. Well, the clients that received that message didn't have an A to Z claim to date. They didn't have any
Right.
bad reviews. Everything was
Right.
FBA. It was all on time. So, you know, that explanation falls flat. Others, you know, we kind of sorted this out. We had to go up a few layers, but now it seems that every new seller account that launched, if it's an FBA item, they start the clock ticking after the item is delivered. And, you know, since the
Okay.
beginning of time, all the way back in '03 when we started, what was beautiful about Amazon is cash flow was great.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
it was when you provided them proof of delivery in the form of a valid tracking number. That's when the clock started ticking and the funds were released and you were hit at your next disbursement.
Right.
And it
Right.
was a beautiful thing. It was great. And, you know, we were singing the praises of Amazon because it was so much better than the way eBay was working at the time. And it
Right.
was simpler and everything. And now they've moved that from a ship date to days after the delivery date. So for FBA,
Right.
it's 4
There's a
days.
lag.
Yeah.
4 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They say that this is amazing because FBA is 1 day and 2 day worst case, but they say the clock starts ticking after 4 days after shipment. So
Right.
there's a 4-day window, so you can get paid. You know, that might delay your payment. That could potentially delay your payment 2 weeks for that shipment, depending on where it falls. If it's an FBM item, and let's say, like in my old business, we used to do a lot of heavy freight. You know, it takes probably 2 or 3 days to get it out the door on a shipping truck, on a freight carrier truck, and then it could take 5 to 7 days to be delivered.
Right.
So after the delivery date is confirmed, then they're tacking on another 7 days, and
I
that
know.
could
I
that could
know.
be a 30-day delay in payment
Right.
when the freight carrier that I shipped that on wants payment in 2 weeks. So
I think
it's really
people are
tight.
going to have to, people will have to just restructure how they deal with creditors,
Yeah,
promises made, agreements. It'll affect their contracts. I mean, cash flow, any cash flow issue, it will now be impacted in a new way for anyone who has this unavailable balance message based on a performance review or performance assessment, I guess they
yeah,
call them.
yeah,
Even if they
exactly.
have no claims, there might be no negative feedback. It's really astounding kind of what's been changing lately, what's been going on.
I
So,
mean, that's a really great point. There's going to be a trickle down effect that
mhm.
happens where all of these sellers are going to say, hey, 2 weeks isn't enough time anymore because
Yep.
of Amazon's change. I need 30, 45 days terms. They
Yep.
may or may not get it. Or, you
Less
know, they'll
product
be,
listed. Yeah. Less product available, less product listed,
yep.
more lag time. I think it's going to reverberate everywhere.
I'm
So
sure that
hopefully
the
not.
CFO at Amazon is licking his chops at the
Yeah.
extensive amount of free cash flow that that's creating for him.
Hmm.
However, you know, third-party sellers don't have the ability to go sell their stock at $1,500 a share
Right.
to
Right.
raise money. They're
Mhm.
living, you know, disbursement to disbursement. So I have a real problem with it. I have a real problem with
Yeah.
the way they've done this, way they've rolled it out,
Mhm.
and the fog that accompanies this new change in payments, which is, you know, as you and I know, Chris, has
Right.
been typical forever.
Well, I think this will be a hot topic this year at Prosper, not just on my panel, on yours, on everybody's minds. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody at Prosper. I'm with Jason Boyce of Avenue 7 Media. And join us in Las Vegas if you haven't already. I've got a discount code on my site for workshop tickets and tickets to the entire show. So I'll see you soon. I'll see you there. Thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you, Chris. Can't wait to sit in and listen to what's new and exciting in the world of performance.